Her letter had arrived folded too many times, the paper thin and soft from nervous handling, and the cowboy had read it by lantern light after a day that left his bones aching and his patience worn thin by loneliness he never admitted to himself. And what struck him most was not her careful handwriting or the way she apologized for taking his time, but the sentence where she warned him, plainly and almost painfully honest, that she was not beautiful, not special, not the kind of woman a man looked twice at, only dependable and kind and hoping for a place where she might finally belong. And he had smiled at that, a sad kind of smile, because he knew something about being overlooked, about being measured by what you lacked rather than what you carried inside. And so when the train hissed into the small frontier station weeks later and steam swallowed the platform, he stepped down expecting nothing more than a polite stranger, someone he would grow to appreciate in quiet ways. Yet when the mist cleared and he saw her standing alone near a wooden post, clutching a small carpetbag like it was the last solid thing in her world, his breath stalled in his chest, because she was not plain in the way the world meant it, not invisible, not forgettable, but real, achingly real, with hair the color of autumn wheat pulled back too tightly, eyes wide and uncertain yet burning with courage, freckles scattered like constellations across her cheeks, and a posture that spoke of someone who had learned to stand straight even when life bowed her shoulders. And before he could stop himself he leaned closer and whispered, almost like a secret meant only for the wind, "You're beautiful," and she flushed so deeply it reached the tips of her ears, shaking her head as if the words were a kindness she could not afford to believe, because all her life beauty had belonged to other women, sisters, cousins, girls in town windows, and she had been the helper, the extra, the one people thanked but never chose. And as they rode away from the station in his wagon, silence wrapped around them thick and awkward, broken only by the creak of leather and the distant cry of birds, and he wondered what had shaped her into someone who apologized for existing while she wondered what kind of man chose a wife by letter and still looked at her like she mattered, neither of them knowing that this uneasy beginning would be tested by secrets buried deeper than the roots of the cottonwoods lining the road, by a past that followed her like a shadow she feared would one day stretch long enough to reach him, because she had not told him everything in her letter, not about the man who once promised marriage and left her with shame instead, not about the child she buried before it ever breathed, not about the way she learned that loving too openly could cost you everything. And as the ranch appeared on the horizon, white and lonely and full of hard edges softened only by distance, he felt something stir that frightened him more than solitude ever had, the fragile hope that this woman who called herself plain might be the very thing that would undo the walls he had built after burying his first love beneath a wooden cross marked by nothing but his own memory. And while the sun dipped low, painting the land in gold and fire, two strangers rode toward a future neither could predict, unaware that the letter that brought them together would one day be challenged by a truth so sharp it could either cut them apart or bind them forever.